Check the video in the description or right here to show you how I made this AI that you can make as well. Over and out, Mark, ourbestidea.com.
All right, so get this. We're diving into NotebookLM today, and wow, the stuff you sent me about this free AI tool from Google, some YouTube videos about it. I mean, honestly, it's kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah, and you know what really struck me was how much this could change the game for SEO. It's like Google's giving us a peek behind the curtain, showing us what their algorithm really loves.
Totally. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, can you imagine we can literally feed it those top-ranking pages for any keyword we want and just dissect them, figure out why they're ranking so well?
Right, but here's the thing. It's not about just copying what's already out there. It's more about understanding why those pages are successful, and then using that knowledge to create content that's even better.
Okay, so it's not just a content spinning tool, right? It's more about understanding the nuances of what Google wants and then using that to our advantage. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. You can actually ask NotebookLM things like, what are these top-ranked pages missing? Or what questions aren't they answering that searchers might have? It's like getting insider tips from Google's AI on how to outrank everyone else.
That is so slick. And speaking of slick, one of the things that really caught my eye in these videos is this whole podcasting feature. I mean, who knew you could use AI to generate entire podcast episodes?
Right. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're not just talking short little sound bites either. One of the YouTubers said they actually created a 38-minute podcast on the 48 Laws of Power just by feeding the book into NotebookLM. It even generated different AI hosts to discuss the content.
Seriously. So you're telling me I could take a bunch of articles, say, about the history of skateboarding, and NotebookLM could spit out a full podcast episode with AI voices talking about those articles. It seems almost too good to be true.
Well, it's not quite as simple as push a button and poof, you have a podcast.
Yeah.
You still need to shape the content and add your own touch.
Yeah.
But it definitely takes care of a lot of the heavy lifting. And with these new customization features, you could even tell the AI host to focus on specific points or go deeper into certain topics.
Okay, so imagine this. I have a website about vintage video games. I feed NotebookLM a bunch of URLs, the top-ranked pages on collecting Atari games, let's say. It analyzes those pages, figures out what Google loves, and then bam, I've got a podcast episode with tips for collectors, maybe even some cool historical facts.
That's the idea. And then you can upload that podcast to SoundCloud for free, embed it on your website, even submit it to podcast directories.
Now, hold on. Why podcast directories? I get the website and all, but why bother with directories?
Backlinks, my friend, backlinks. Every time you get listed in a directory, it's like a vote of confidence for your website in Google's eyes.
Yeah.
More backlinks usually means more authority, and that usually leads to higher rankings.
Ah, okay. I see. So it's about using this different type of content, this audio content, to boost your website's overall ranking and attract a whole new audience. That's a pretty clever strategy.
And the fact that Google is making this tool free tells me they really want us to use it to create amazing content. They've even hinted at enhanced features for businesses coming soon, which is exciting.
Okay, so this is all starting to sound a bit too good to be true. Is there a catch? Because there has to be a catch, right?
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Remember, NotebookLM is a tool, not a magic wand. You still need a good website with solid content. What this does is give you a massive advantage right from the start. It helps you understand what Google's looking for, helps you create content that matches what people are actually searching for, and then lets you branch out into other formats like podcasting to reach a wider audience.
It's about working smarter, not harder. NotebookLM is like a strategic advisor pointing us in the right direction.
Exactly. But don't forget the human touch. We still need to edit and polish anything the AI generates, fact-check everything, add our own perspectives, and make sure the content sounds natural and engaging like it's coming from a real person.
Okay, so let's walk through this whole process of using NotebookLM for SEO, starting with analyzing those top-ranking pages. How do we actually do that?
Okay, let's say your target phrase is best travel backpacks for digital nomads. The first step is to go to Google and open up all the top-ranked pages for that phrase.
We're talking the organic search results, right? Not the ads.
Exactly. We want the organic stuff. Just copy the URLs of those pages.
And any YouTube videos that are ranking high up there too, right?
Absolutely. Those videos are content. Gold. Google loves them. So include those in your analysis. Got to take a holistic approach.
Gotcha. I've got my URLs.
Now what? Now it's NotebookLM time. Create a new notebook and just paste those URLs right in there as sources. Blog post article, YouTube video, it doesn't matter. NotebookLM can handle it all.
So we're giving it a crash course in what Google considers the best of the best for that particular keyword.
Exactly. And the more sources you give it, the smarter it gets. It's like giving a master chef a collection of award-winning recipes and saying, okay, what makes these dishes so special?
And then NotebookLM breaks those recipes down and figures out the secret ingredients to success.
Right. And then the fun begins. You can start asking NotebookLM all kinds of questions about those sources. Like, what are the main topics covered in these articles? Are there any common themes or patterns? What keywords are used the most?
So we're not just blindly copying what's already out there. We're using NotebookLM to understand the nuances of why these pages rank so well, and then figuring out how to create something even better.
Exactly. It's all about gaining insights, finding opportunities to stand out, and creating content that's even more comprehensive and engaging, which ultimately gives you a better chance of ranking higher.
Okay, this is all starting to click now, but let's be real, writing a whole article from scratch can be a daunting task. Is there any way NotebookLM can help with that part too?
Oh, absolutely. Once you've gathered enough insights from those top-ranking pages, you can actually ask NotebookLM to create an outline for you.
You mean like a structured plan with headings, subheadings, all the key points we should cover?
Exactly. And you can even tell it to incorporate specific keywords and concepts that you found during your research. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of structuring your content.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed by all this amazing stuff. Can we walk through the process of creating an outline, like step by step?
Sure, let's stick with our backpack example. Best travel backpacks for digital nomads. After analyzing those top pages, you might start noticing some key themes that keep popping up. Things like the need for durability organization, special features for digital nomads, maybe even the overall style or aesthetic of the backpacks.
Gotcha. So those themes would essentially become the main sections of our outline.
Exactly. Then you can ask NotebookLM for subtopics for each of those sections. So under durability, you might have subheadings like materials, water resistance, warranty.
So the outline is like a roadmap for the article, making sure we hit all the important points in a clear and organized way.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to add your own thoughts and ideas to the outline too. Remember, you're the expert, you're bringing that human touch to it. NotebookLM is just there to help you organize your thoughts and make sure you're not missing anything important.
This is brilliant. I'm already feeling less intimidated by the whole writing process. But what about the actual writing part? Can NotebookLM help with that too, or are we on our own at that point?
It can actually help with the writing too. You can ask it to write certain sections of your article or even the whole thing if you're feeling brave.
Okay, wait a second. I've heard some mixed things about AI-generated content. Some people love it, but others say it sounds robotic and dull. What's your take on that?
Well, here's the thing. Think of anything NotebookLM writes as a first draft, not the finished product.
So it's a starting point, a foundation to build on.
Right. You always want to edit, rewrite, fact-check anything it gives you. Make it your own.
Yeah.
Add your personal style, your voice, your unique insights. The goal is to make it sound like you, not a machine.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. I was getting worried about losing my own voice and all this AI magic.
And remember, Google can tell the difference between authentic human writing and content that's just been churned out by a computer.
So it's about finding that balance, right? Using the power of AI without sacrificing our own creativity and expertise.
Absolutely. Think of NotebookLM as a collaborator, a research assistant, even a brainstorming partner. It can give you ideas, structure your content, even write certain parts. But ultimately, you're the one calling the shots.
That's a good way to put it. So let's say we have our outline and a rough draft. What else can we use NotebookLM for?
That's where those frequently asked questions come in. You know, the ones that usually pop up in that people also ask section on Google?
Oh yeah, I've always thought those were a great way to add value and improve SEO.
Exactly. Well, guess what? NotebookLM can help you generate those FAQs too.
Are you serious? How does that even work?
It's pretty simple. You just ask it to create a list of frequently asked questions related to your keyword, and it will analyze your sources and the web to come up with a bunch of questions that people are actually asking about your topic.
It's like having a super-powered research assistant who can anticipate what our readers might be wondering about.
Exactly. And here's the best part. You can then ask it to actually write answers to those questions.
So we're creating a mini FAQ section within our article to make it even more comprehensive and helpful for readers.
Exactly. And this is not only good for your readers, but it also boosts your word count and can even increase your chances of getting featured in those snippets at the top of Google search results.
Okay, that's what I call working smarter. Now, you mentioned customization features earlier. Can we talk about those in more detail?
Absolutely. These features give you even more control over the style and tone of the content that NotebookLM generates.
So it's not just this generic AI. We can tailor it to our specific needs.
Exactly. Let's start with conversational style.
Yeah.
You can tell NotebookLM to be helpful, cheerful, formal, even add a touch of humor if you want.
Wow, so we can actually inject some personality into the writing.
And writing in the first person, like you're speaking directly to the reader, can make your content feel way more relatable and engaging.
That's a good tip. What about readability? Can we adjust that as well?
Absolutely. You can tell NotebookLM to write at a specific grade level.
So if I'm trying to reach a wider audience, I might go for like a 6th grade reading level just to make sure it's super clear and easy to understand.
That's a smart move.
Yeah.
Clarity and conciseness are so important, especially when you want to make sure your message resonates with a broad audience.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like a NotebookLM pro. But I do have one last question for you. You mentioned structuring content for those featured snippets. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. So those featured snippets are those boxes of information that appear at the top of Google's search results. It's like they're giving the answer right away so people don't even have to click on a link.
It's like winning the SEO lottery, right?
Pretty much. It's an amazing way to boost your visibility and drive traffic to your website.
Okay, so how can NotebookLM help us get those featured snippets?
Well, first you have to understand what kind of content usually gets featured in those snippets.
Is there like a secret formula or something?
Not a formula exactly, but there are definitely patterns. Google loves definitions, for example. If someone searches for what is cryptocurrency, they might pull a simple definition from a trusted website. Or if someone searches for top 10 tips for learning guitar, it might display a numbered list from a well-structured article.
Okay, so we need to think about how to format our content in a way that matches these common snippet styles.
And that's where NotebookLM can help, big time. You can actually ask it to create content that's specifically designed for those featured snippets.
Like what? Give me an example. Let's say I'm writing an article about choosing the right mountain bike.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
You could ask NotebookLM to write a concise definition of mountain bike suspension or create a numbered list of the most important features to consider when buying a mountain bike, or even develop a table comparing different types of mountain bikes and their intended use.
So we're basically giving NotebookLM the framework to create content that Google is most likely to feature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by placing these elements strategically within your article, maybe near the top, where Google is likely to scan for that information, you can greatly increase your chances of getting that coveted featured snippet.
Amazing. I'm starting to see the real potential here. It's not just about writing any old content. It's about crafting content that's perfectly aligned with Google's algorithms and what searchers are actually looking for.
You got it. And the more you play with NotebookLM, the more you'll discover what it can do. It's a tool that can completely change your approach to content creation and help you reach your SEO goals.
This has been so eye-opening. Really makes you think about the future of content creation. But before we wrap up this part, I want to get your take on something. If everyone's using this tool, how can we stand out from the crowd? How do we differentiate ourselves when everyone has access to the same AI?
That's a great question and something we'll definitely dive deeper into in the next part.
Yeah.
But the short answer is this. While NotebookLM gives you a great starting point, it's still up to us to make that content truly unique and engaging. It's funny, isn't it, how people always think AI is going to kill creativity? But with NotebookLM, it's actually the opposite. It's like it unlocks this whole new level of creativity and strategy for content creation.
I see what you mean. It's like it takes care of all that boring technical stuff, the research, the structuring, and it frees us up to focus on the things that humans are good at, like, adding personality, telling stories, really connecting with our audience.
That's it. It's this awesome partnership between human creativity and AI power. Speaking of creativity, you've been digging into those YouTube videos. What are some of the cool tips and tricks that stood out to you?
Oh, man, so many. One that blew me away was using NotebookLM to find those LSI keywords, latent semantic indexing the words and phrases that Google expects to see in content about a specific topic. It's like cracking a secret code.
Ah, yes, LSI keywords, the secret sauce of SEO. And figuring those out used to be such a pain, right?
Totally. But with NotebookLM, it's like having a cheat sheet. It analyzes those top-ranking pages and tells you exactly what LSI keywords to use, and then you can sprinkle them naturally into your content.
It's like having Google whisper in your ear and tell you the magic formula.
Another tip that was super helpful was creating content for those featured snippets. Those little boxes of information at the top of Google's search results?
Oh, yeah, the holy grail of SEO land. One of those, and you're golden.
Right. Because nobody scrolls past the first few results, and NotebookLM can help us structure our content to fit those common formats, definitions, lists, steps.
It's so smart because you're basically giving Google what it wants and giving searchers that quick and easy answer they're looking for.
One of the examples that really stuck with me was how someone used NotebookLM to generate 10 podcast episodes and got them on Spotify in like 2 hours.
2 hours, seriously. That's insane. It really shows you how efficient this tool is.
Imagine what this could do for businesses. They could create a whole library of content, podcasts, articles, social media posts, all based on their existing knowledge or research.
It's like having a whole content team at your disposal. But hold on a sec. Let's not get too carried away. As with any powerful tool, we need to use NotebookLM ethically and responsibly.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for starters, we can't just copy and paste AI-generated content and call it a day. We got to add our own insights and expertise. Make it valuable and engaging by putting our own spin on it.
So it's like a jumping off point, not the final destination.
Exactly. We also need to be super careful about plagiarism. Even though NotebookLM is really advanced, it's still pulling information from existing sources. So always double check everything, cite your sources properly, and make sure you're not stealing someone else's work.
Good points. It's like that saying, with great power comes great responsibility, right? You mentioned search intent earlier. Can you tell me more about why understanding that is so important?
Oh, absolutely. Search intent is basically the reason why someone is searching for something. It's about understanding what they're really trying to find, what problem they're trying to solve.
So it's not just about matching keywords. It's about understanding the bigger picture behind those keywords.
You got it. And NotebookLM is a total game changer for uncovering search intent. We can look at those top ranking pages and ask ourselves, okay, what are they doing well? What information are they providing? What tone are they using?
So we're kind of like reverse engineering Google's algorithm by studying the pages that are already ranking high.
Exactly. And the better we understand search intent, the better we can create content that really connects with our target audience and gives them what they need.
Okay, I'm following you. Can you give me an example of how we might analyze search intent using NotebookLM?
Let's go back to our travel backpack example. Let's say you've fed those top-ranked pages into NotebookLM. Now, to really understand the search intent, you could ask questions like, what are some of the common concerns or frustrations that digital nomads have when they're choosing a backpack?
Okay, so that helps us understand their pain points. Then what?
Then you might ask, what features or benefits do these articles focus on the most? That gives you a clue as to what Google and users see as the most important solutions.
So we're digging deeper than just keywords. We're trying to get inside the heads of the people who are searching for this stuff.
Exactly. And once we get that search intent, we can tailor our content to really meet those needs.
So if we find out that digital nomads are really worried about weight and durability, we make sure to address those concerns and recommend backpacks that are super lightweight and durable.
Bingo. You're thinking like a true SEO pro. Now let's talk about those AI-generated podcast episodes. I mean, creating detailed podcasts with different AI voices. It's wild.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like taking all those experts we've been feeding into NotebookLM and having them have a real conversation about the topic. I know it's like taking all those experts we've been feeding into NotebookLM and having them have a real conversation about the topic. I'm curious, though, how much control do we actually have over what those AI hosts talk about? I mean, do they just ramble on randomly, or can we actually like guide their conversation?
That's where those customization features we talked about really come in handy. Remember how we can give NotebookLM those specific instructions? Well, that applies to podcast generation too.
So we can actually tell those AI hosts what parts of the material to focus on.
Exactly. Let's say you're doing a podcast about gardening, and you've given NotebookLM all these articles about different types of fertilizer. You could tell the AI hosts to compare organic fertilizers with synthetic fertilizers, or talk about the benefits of composting, or even debate the best time of year to fertilize different plants.
So we can basically create an outline for the podcast, even though it's presented as this casual conversation.
You got it. The more specific you are with your instructions, the more focused and engaging the podcast will be.
Yeah.
It's like giving them a roadmap, but letting them improvise a bit along the way.
That's really cool. It's like having a team of gardening experts ready to discuss whatever you want.
And you can play around with different formats too. You could have one AI host doing a lecture-style podcast, or you could have multiple hosts going back and forth in a debate. It's all up to you.
It's like having your own little podcast studio where you're the director and the AI hosts are the actors.
Exactly. And with those customization features, you can even tweak their voices, their tone, even their accents. It's pretty wild.
This is seriously impressive. But let's be real for a second. Are these AI-generated podcasts actually any good? Like, can they really compete with podcasts hosted by real people?
That's the million-dollar question.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer, like with most things AI, is it depends.
On what?
Well, the quality of the source material is a huge factor. If you feed it a bunch of poorly written or outdated articles, the podcast is probably going to sound pretty bad.
So it's garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you give it high-quality, well-researched material, those AI hosts can really shine.
Okay, that makes sense. What else does it depend on?
It also depends on you as the producer.
Yeah.
Even with the help of AI, you still need to have a good ear for storytelling, a sense of what makes a podcast flow well, and the ability to edit and polish the audio to make it sound professional.
So it's not completely hands-off. We still need to bring our own skills to the table.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Think of Notebook LM as your co-pilot, not your autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
It can help you come up with ideas, structure your podcast, and even take care of some of the technical stuff. But you're still the one in control, making sure the final product is something you're proud of.
That's reassuring. I was starting to worry that AI was going to replace human podcasters altogether.
I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
But it's definitely pushing us to be more creative and innovative.
You know, one thing I've been wondering about is how these AI-generated podcasts will affect the listener experience. Do you think people will be able to tell the difference between a podcast hosted by a human and one hosted by AI?
That's a really interesting question. And the answer is changing all the time. Those early AI voices used to sound so robotic and unnatural. But the technology has come a long way.
So you're saying we're getting to a point where AI voices can sound almost as good as human voices?
In some cases, yeah.
Okay.
Which brings up some important ethical questions.
Like what?
Well, transparency is huge. Listeners should know if they're listening to a real person or an AI.
So podcasters should be upfront about using AI in their podcasts.
Absolutely. It's about being honest and respecting your audience. We also need to be careful about how AI could be used to spread misinformation or manipulate people.
That's kind of scary.
It is, which is why it's so important to use this technology ethically and responsibly.
This whole deep dive into Notebook LM and AI has been so insightful. I'm definitely feeling excited and a little bit overwhelmed by the possibilities, but I'm also really aware of the ethical implications.
It's good that you're thinking about that. The important thing is to embrace the power of AI while using it wisely, thoughtfully, and with the goal of creating content that benefits your audience and makes the world a better place.
Well said. I think that's the perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of Notebook LM and AI. We hope you've learned a lot and feel inspired to experiment with this incredible technology. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep creating.
Check the video in the description or right here to show you how I made this AI that you can make as well. Over and out, markourbestidea.com.